Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to World War II In Depth. In today's episode, we're talking about the Christmas SMG buffs. Just before Christmas, Sledgehammer put out a big weapon update that, thank goodness, included some SMG buffs. It's been a long time coming. They've been nerfed significantly from the beta, and the assault rifles have been dominant, but they're clawing back a little bit. They also included an FG42 Nerf, a nerf for the machine pistol, and a rebalance for some of the weapons. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. The old Thompson used to fire at 833 rounds per minute. The new Thompson was buffed to now fire at 900 rounds per minute, and you'll notice there's a little asterisk up there by the Thompson. That is the coded rate of fire. The 900 rounds per minute is what I measured in-game, and the coded rate of fire is always a little bit faster than what you get in-game. So the old Thompson in-game was probably closer to 810 or 820, so an easy way to think about it is that the Thompson now fires at 100 rounds per minute faster, which is a significant buff. You will definitely feel it, and it'll help you kill people faster. Downside is, it'll kick a little bit more, which was a problem with the Thompson to begin with. The MP40 got a similar but smaller buff. The old MP40 was coded to fire at 682 rounds per minute. Realistically, it was probably about 650. The new rate of fire for the MP40 is 720 rounds per minute exactly, which means the MP40 now fires at basically the same speed as the PPSH. They might be like 4, 5, 6, maybe a whole 10 rounds per minute different. However, the MP40 can get a 3-shot kill, which the PPSH can't, and there's range differences, there's magazine differences, recoil differences, so the PPSH might actually get a run for its money for best submachine gun sometime soon. The FG42, the competitive weapon of choice and what is now regarded as the overall best weapon after the bar nerfs, got a nerf itself. The old one was coded to fire at 517 rounds per minute, in-game was closer to 500. The new FG42 now fires at 447 rounds per minute in-game, so it roughly got a 10% decrease on its rate of fire, which you'll feel, but you won't feel it that significantly. And of note, the patch notes say recoil adjusted accordingly. My assumption is that if you're going to nerf a gun and make it worse in the fire rate department, that you will make it kick less and therefore compensate it and keep it somewhat balanced. I don't know if that's entirely true or not, but that's my assumption. That's all it says. I decided to go ahead and put the recoil to the test here. I'm going to go ahead and fire 2 times, just complete thumb off the trigger so you can see how much verticality you get in the recoil, and it's basically the same as the old FG42. I didn't notice a really big difference, and the third one here, I'm going to try to control it as best I possibly can so that you can see what it looks like when you try to fight the recoil, and it was pretty easy to control, pretty easy to keep on point, and the recoil is still very, very good. Overall, with FG42, I didn't feel a big difference. It is definitely overall weaker now, just statistically, mathematically, empirically speaking, but when using it, it felt roughly the same to me. The FG42 didn't get that hard of a nerf stick, even though it did get nerfed. The next nerf is on the machine pistol, which was probably well overdue, but we did finally got it. It says machine pistol damage reduced in the patch notes. What I believe that means is that the base damage is reduced, but the shots to kill and the range still seem pretty good. For example, this is the maximum 4-shot kill range, and yes, it can still 4-shot kill people, same as before. No issues there, and the range hasn't seemed to decrease very much. It's still got a very impressive 5-shot kill range if you're accurate, so no issues there whatsoever. My assumption with this is that the base damage was reduced from 30, probably closer to 25, and maybe even less so at other ranges, so that you're less likely to get those easy 1- and 2-shot finishes on enemies that have taken a lot of damage. The combat shotgun received a buff, which is curious to me because the combat shotgun was one of the most popular shotguns to begin with. I think people like the spammy one, the toggle action, but the combat shotgun was in a good spot as is. People really wanted the double barrel buffed, and I always thought the Luftwaffe drilling was fine personally, but people really hated that one and want it buffed well. Well, we got a combat shotgun damage range buff. Visually speaking, so that you get an idea of that, this is the maximum 1-shot kill range on the combat shotgun, which I have to tell you is very impressive for shotguns in Call of Duty games, especially modern ones where they've been getting worse and worse and worse, and that is a very, very, very strong shotgun now. The combat shotgun is going to be hands down the best shotgun. As much as I like spamming people with the toggle action because it's easy, or I really like the Luftwaffe drilling, given this buff, the combat shotgun has just got to be the best one. Last up today, we have slight rebalances for light machine guns. There's now more movement speed for all light machine guns, just kind of across the board. Very straightforward. You get a little bit more movement speed, a little bit less punishing when you strafe and shoot. I do not have exact numbers on that because the patch is not on PC, and that's how I get the numbers for it. And there was an additional buff for the Lewis and MG15 in terms of less recoil. So visually speaking, this is the MG15. I'm going to go ahead and spray a wall and dump all 50 rounds into it. It didn't kick a whole lot to begin with. I didn't think it had recoil issues, at least not in my opinion. Now it most certainly does not. Very tight spread. Here's the Lewis gun. I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing and let the dinner plate spin around while I go ahead and shoot at the wall. It kicks a little bit more, but it's very, very, very vertical, which means it's going to be easy to control. And again, that wasn't a gun that I thought had issues. So yeah, these are buffed. These are better. Overall thoughts on the patch, things you should keep your eyes on. The MP40 might be better than the PPSH now. They both fire at the exact same rate, so no difference there. The MP40 does have a very small 3-shot range, whereas the PPSH does not. Definitely better in close quarters combat. MP40 headshots actually matter, whereas the PPSH ones not so much, so a little bit of buff there. I do like the PPSH iron sights better. I do think the PPSH probably still has slightly less recoil, slightly bigger magazine, but the MP40 is really going to be giving it a run for its money on best submachine gun. The Thompson is slightly better. It's now sort of a WAF alternative. It's like the WAF light version. It doesn't kick quite as bad. I still don't think it's a great SMG. You won't see me using it too much. It has severe recoil and damage issues, and the rate of fire doesn't help that much. FG42 is slightly worse off. It didn't feel tremendously bad, but it is worse off overall, and it's now going to be harder to finish people with the machine pistol. I think that one's a very, very important nerf because the machine pistol was a very crutch weapon, as you saw at CWL Dallas. A lot of people are using it all the time online, and the other pistols, while really good, aren't getting much love because the machine pistol's so good, though the overall like shots to kill and range performance doesn't seem hurt very much. I guess you're just going to get less lucky one-shots. Combat shotgun was really fine before. It was in a good spot. Now it's just in a really good spot. So combat shotgun's probably going to end up being the best overall shotgun, and LMGs are just somewhat less punishing to use overall, so you might see more people using their light machine guns. Guys, that's all for this update. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out. If you want all the weapon stats for World War II in your pocket to go, then look no further than the Ultimate Utility app by Brass Monkey. It's available on iOS and Android. There are links in the description, or you can just search for it in the App Store.